everybody, it's Tanishka and I'm just doing my update for this coming full moon, which is in the early hours of Wednesday morning for those of us on the southern hemisphere side of the date line, and for the rest it will be Tuesday. Now this is a super moon. What does that mean? Well, super because it is going to have a super big effect on us. It is close to Earth. So when the moon is, I'll just bring this up so you can hear me. When the moon is close to Earth, it has a bigger effect on our moods, on our energy levels. And full moon is when we can feel emotionally overwhelmed. If we think about high tide, it's when, you know, the tides are higher, and being a super moon, the tides will be higher than usual. And so that's the same with us, since we're 70% water. So if you feel more emotional than usual, it's not that you're having a complete basket case mental, meltdown, but that there is a supermoon approaching. So this particular full moon is in the sign of Virgo. Now Virgo, if we think back to Linda Goodman's 1970s book on the signs, got a bit of a bum rap. People can often really harp on Virgo as being a clean freak and being quite uptight, OCD about details. And yes, those are shadow traits of Virgo. However, this is the optimal time to start doing a healthy routine to start your day. If you start it now, this week, as we're approaching full moon, you've got way more chance of it sticking. So whether you need to review your nutrition, if your body's been saying, hey, it's time to give away gluten, it's time to give away dairy, it's time to not put MSG in your temple, or whatever it is for you, the flags will probably be very loud at the moment, because Virgo is the sign of health and well-being. So do honor what it is your body is trying to tell you. And, this is a great time to, whether it's join a gym, whether it's, go to a Zumba class with your neighbor, whatever is calling you intuitively saying, hey, this is what you need to address for your health and well-being. It might be doing strengthening, Pilates. It might be doing yoga, so that you're not just, loose, limber in the body, but of course that helps us to be less rigid in our thinking. So it might be that you need to do a detox. Okay, so our intuition, that quiet sort of suggestion that keeps coming up repetitively, that we just have as our inner knowing, okay, that will be centering around what it is we need to do for our health and well-being as we approach this full moon. Now the other thing is, Virgo is about sacred space. So that means we can be tested on how we honor our home as our sanctuary, even our belongings, what is sacred to us. Do we loan out something that for us has deep sacred Tupperware, something we use in ritual? Would you loan it to just anybody? Or it might be, who do you let into your home? Or setting boundaries. It's one thing to speak up and set a boundary. It's a whole other thing to then speak up when those boundaries are crossed and maintain the boundary. So you may be tested on this as we approach the full moon this week. I'm so sorry for all the background noise. Trying to find fast Wi-Fi in Bali is a bit of a challenge. And where I've found it is, there's a lot of other noises going on, from music to coffee machines and juices. So I do apologize, and thank you, those of you who have given me feedback about the sound on my videos. I'm only going to be in Bali for another 2 more weeks, so bear with me. Then I'll be on tour for the next 5 months. So the one should be stronger, sound better. So getting back to the bulletin at hand, Virgo, because it's about sacred space, this is a time when we may feel the urge to clean, not, because we want our house to look perfect for the visitors or anything, but in order to, as a ritual, declutter and clear space energetically, okay? So there's a great book called Clear Your Clutter by Karen Kingston. Check that out. But in a nutshell, if you pick up anything and it has either a positive or a negative association, if it's got a negative association for you, in other words, you know, you accepted it off your mother-in-law only because you felt when she visited it had to be visual, you know, get rid of it. Likewise, if it's something you absolutely love, every time spending the money on fresh flowers to have in your home to raise it as temple space. It's a great time to clean your altars. Altars, you know, carry our special objects, the things that have real sacred meaning for us. So when we look upon them, they remind us of our spiritual commitment to ourselves. So that will look different for every person. But it is bad feng shui, bad energy to have filthy, you know, dust-ridden old flowers with murky brown water. Yeah, if you got that going on in your altars, get thee to your altar and clean it up this week. And similarly, our body is an altar. Our body is a temple. So, you know, if there's anyone in your life who is not honoring your temple, who is not touching your body with absolute reverence and devotional worship, then they got to go. This is a time when we can feel like, you know, celibate, okay, that we withhold because we might feel that we're not being honoured. And until we are honoured, we don't open from the inside to experience intimacy. So, you know, if you do feel closed, those of you that are in partnership, just have a look at perhaps where you feel you've been dishonoured, and instead of expecting the other person to guess, as we say to our kids, use your words and use assertion, you know, use I feel this, because no one can argue with a feeling, all right, rather than coming in with a blame statement. You did this, you did that, okay? So what else? Virgo can get caught up in criticism. So, you know, if you're somebody who tends towards perfectionism, in other words, having such high standards of yourself that you can never possibly meet them, and when you do, you actually again. So, you know, this is when the critical mind is dominant rather than the heart. So this can really come up as shadow Virgo for all of us, regardless of when we're born and what our sun sign is in, your astrological sign. So if you notice that you are, first of all, judging others, that's a sure sign that you are trying to disassociate from your own inner criticism by deflecting and making it about everybody out there. Okay, so the more judgmental we are of others, hello, it's a flag, my inner critic is up. Now, if you get into a mood, okay, there's a difference between a feeling and a mood. A mood is when we're really broody, yeah, when we're really not fun to be around. That's a mood. So if you find yourself in a mood, yeah, this is when we employ. Then really get to your journal and find out what inner criticisms you are running at the moment, okay? Who am I to think I could do this? I'll never get this right. I'm a failure at this, or whatever, okay? Because like the boogeyman, if we actually confront it, it doesn't have it as much power over us. But when it's running just here, okay, it has a lot more power over us. And once we, you know, spiral down into those lower emotional states, into those moods, it's much harder to get ourselves out. So, and we're more inclined to go into a mood if, you know, we're somebody who doesn't like conflict and doesn't like to express anger openly. So we then implode rather than exploding. So, excuse me, keep that in mind. With perfectionism, just remind yourself, I need a drink, hang on. I'm just choking on my own saliva. How charming. I'm just going to neck some sparkling water. Hopefully I don't burp all over you. Hang on a second. I'm coming to realise just how crass Australians are in relation to other cultures. And, yeah, anyway. So, which I kind of like, actually. Authentic, at least. So, yeah, with perfectionism, it's a good time to remind ourselves that everything is perfect. Imperfections. Yeah, that they are, in fact, our greatest teachers. And, what the mind perceives as an imperfection, the heart perceives as, a wound that we're carrying, and then we can respond with compassion. Whereas if we only view ourselves through that 10% rational inner critic, the critical mind, we cut ourselves down so that we feel so disempowered, we cannot truly respond to the wound. Whereas if we drop into the heart, at least, that inner parent can respond to the small child, that wounded child, the wounded self, and, address what it needs. So, yeah, we've got more chance of doing that if we're looking after our health and well-being. So let me address that. Years ago in my early 20s, I suffered a lot of depression, and I remember seeing a great Chinese medical doctor. And the first thing he did was to say, right, what are you eating? Because the physical level, like if we look at the pyramid, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if we're feeling depressed, yes, there are emotional and mental reasons for that, but we need to support ourselves physically, first of all. So often when we're depressed, we don't feel like moving. Yeah, we don't feel like getting out and going for a run, that's for sure. But by even just putting on some slow music and just gently with your eyes closed expressing your feelings through the music, you're having the opportunity of moving the energy. And when we move the energy, we're not stuck anymore in that particular dark mental state or emotion. So this is where, the ancient temple practices were very soul-based healing methods. It was about doing trance dance, doing art therapy, dream analysis, things that were from the inside out. So rather than doing yoga or exercise to look good, it's about how is this going to make me feel? For instance, when we do yoga, on the understanding that, every organ is going to be nourished with life force. And it's just one thing we can do each day to give back to our bodies that 24/7 support us. And so it's an act of self-love rather than a disciplinary action. Because if we're trying to start a new health routine with willpower, we're coming from the mind, okay? And we're whipping ourselves like, you should have lost 5 kilos by now, or whatever, pounds, or, you're so lazy, you don't do your practice when you say you will, and blah, blah, blah. What kid, inner child, is going to respond to that? Yeah, you just want to run away and go eat some chips. So, we've got to come at it with self-love in terms of creating a sacred space with beautiful music and with positive self-talk that is an invitation to love ourselves. And love is, of course, an action. It's an active word. So the more we can honor ourselves as a beautiful, divine, sacred being, having a human experience through our routines, through our cyclic routines, that's what Virgo is about, then the more our life becomes a divine expression. So we find ourselves living heaven on earth. Whereas the more we negate our sacred practices, the more we spiral down into that, and then everything feels overwhelming and too hard to even start. So we've now got Uranus in Taurus, so that can play out as unexpected illnesses and injuries as a flag if we don't look after the body temple. You know, so this is a time of really listening to the body, really honoring the body wisdom. What else do I want to say about this? I've already said it's a super moon. Oh, hang on, I'm moving all over the shop here. No, blank. Here we go. So, yeah, look, the priestess archetype in our culture isn't really understood because most of us have grown up with the model of organized religion, but the priestess is a part of all of us, okay? It's the part of us that is our spiritual needs, our soul needs, not just our physical needs. So, you know, this is a time when you may feel quite sensitive. I know what I was going to say. The sun has now moved into Pisces. Pisces is the opposite sign of Virgo. And so we always have the full moon and the sun in opposite signs, okay? Just like at the full moon, it's the time when we can see the sun and the moon at sunrise and sunset simultaneously. So it's a beautiful time for a beach walk or to get out in nature. But Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is the planet of dreams and the inner realms. So this is the time of the mystic and the priestess. So, or the mystic and the priest, yeah? So this is a very powerful time of working with your dream symbols. You're more likely to have very powerful dreams. If you have dream images and symbols you don't understand, journal it, because our subconscious always speaks to us in the symbols as our subconscious and conscious mind work together. So yes, it's all very well and good to get other people to interpret your dreams, but at the end of the day, it's what does it mean to me? Okay. So it is harder to get out of bed when the sun is moving through Pisces. We're more likely to contract into fear, into running stories of powerlessness and victimhood. But because Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac wheel, this is a wonderful window to look at your karmic patterns and lessons and do things differently. It's kind of like the finals exam, okay? So we've got more chance of doing that if we're harnessing that energy of Virgo, the opposite sign, the priestess, and doing meditation, doing yoga, doing journaling, whether it's Qigong, whether it's Tai Chi, it doesn't matter what the practice is, okay? Even viewing menstruation as a spiritual practice, whether you're doing purification ceremonies using, you know, fire like Agnihotra or heart opening ceremonies with cacao. This is a very powerful time to do ceremony. So I hope that's of some value for you. If you feel like it is and you want to share this with friends, family and loved one, please, you have my blessing. And just in terms of the events that I've got coming up, in 2 weeks, as I said, I'm leaving Bali and we're going to Australia, we being myself and my partner Franz, and we've got events in Sydney, Adelaide and Melbourne. There's on the Friday night in each city we're doing a forgiveness ceremony, and that's for men and women, singles, couples, hetero, gay, lesbian, everybody welcome. But we do require equal numbers of men and women. It's a very powerful ceremony to experience what it is to shift your relationship with the masculine if you're a woman, or your relationship with the feminine if you're a man. By clearing the old paradigm stories that you're running about being hurt and making the way to have a new healthy dance with your opposite. So it's a beautiful ceremony. It goes for 4 hours. It includes a sisterhood circle and a brotherhood circle conducted simultaneously, and then we come together in a mixed circle and do a ceremony. So do check that out. It's on my website, themoonwoman.com, and we're going to be doing that in Spain, France, Switzerland, where else? Greece, in April, May, and then in the US in July, and then Asia in September, and then in Brisbane, Australia in October. The other event that we're doing around the world, starting in Australia in March, is the Sacred Union Workshop. Again, not a couples workshop. This is for everybody. We've designed it specifically for individuals, okay? Whether you're single or partnered makes no difference, but it's 2 days to understand the shadow power dynamics that we're all enacting in our relationships when we do the interpersonal data. We're looking specifically at the myths of those two aspects and how they enable these power struggles in relationship, regardless of whether we're hetero, gay, lesbian, doesn't matter, because we're all made up of feminine, masculine energy. And depending on what stage of empowerment our feminine and masculine energies are, we will enact these shadow dances. And so when we don't understand these dynamics, it is inevitable that we re-wound each other. And this is what we witnessed with our parents. It's what we've enacted ourselves in our relationships. And it is time as a species that we transcend this dysfunctional pattern of relating. So there's a lot of fun. There's, storytelling, there's dance, there's, experiential processes. So we're not just, sitting down learning shit. It's, Franz and I are sharing from our own wounds, our own journey, laughing at our own shadow antics in relationships. So come and hear that, if nothing else. But yeah, again, look forward to sharing this with the global family. You can check out the details on my website, themoonwoman.com. And I've also got a number of retreats happening this year. The first two are in Europe. We've got the Red Tent Retreat for women in Ibiza from the 6th to the 13th of April. So that's going deep and looking at the shadow feminine, as well as empowering women with how to see themselves and tend to self-care as a cyclic being. Then in Greece, from May 12 to 20, we've got the Inner Goddess workshop for the first time, or not workshop, retreat, in the Northern Hemisphere. So I'm very excited to bring it to that part of the world. For those of you that, have felt Bali has been too far to travel. And this is a journey. We do one chakra a day, and it's a journey to awaken the Kundalini, awaken the Shakti by empowering the 7 faces of the goddess that comprise the feminine psyche. And by the end of the week, you will feel like a different person. Yeah, every woman that has taken this journey literally looks different by the end of the week. So if you want more info on those events, check it out at themoonwoman.com. And blessings on your week, blessings on the moon. May you honor yourself as the sacred, sovereign being that you are. And remember, we're here to live a divine experience. All right, blessings on your day. Ciao.